My name is Amelia, and I am 31 years old. If someone told me that life could completely crumble over the time it takes to eat a dinner, I would never believe it. But that Thursday night, my world truly did fall apart at my mother's dinner table.
Welcome to Airless's Romance Stories. Read the entire novel in one go. Message or comment to tell me what kind of story you'd like to read. Subscribe to the channel for daily updates. Airless reminds you, the story begins now.
It was 3 weeks before the wedding. Invitations had been sent out. 200 guests had confirmed their attendance. The deposit for the garden estate venue had been paid, and my wedding dress hung quietly in the closet, ivory white lace fitting my waist perfectly. Everything was as perfect as a fairy tale. Jason and I have been in love for 4 years. He is the kind of man who makes you believe in the existence of soulmates. He remembers how much sugar I like in my coffee. He brings me dinner when I work overtime, and he always looks at me with that gentle gaze, as if I am the center of his world. I am even proud of my sister Chloe. This girl, 5 years younger than me, agreed to be my bridesmaid. We've never been particularly close. She has always been the pampered little girl, and I am the responsible older sister. But I thought, maybe this wedding could be a turning point in our relationship. I was so naive that night. The atmosphere at my parents' house was strange. I sensed it as soon as I walked in. A sense of tension permeated the air, like the calm before a storm. My father avoided looking at me, his eyes fixed on his plate. My mother's hands twisted her napkin incessantly, and Chloe, my usually lively and cheerful sister, wore an expression I had never seen before, a mixture of defiance and strange calm. "I have something to announce." Chloe suddenly stood up, placing a hand on her still, flat stomach. "I am pregnant." At that moment, I was still smiling, ready to congratulate her. "It is Jason's child." Her voice was cold and clear. "We've been sleeping together for 6 months." 6 months. I remember the sound of the fork hitting the porcelain plate, a crisp sound like something shattering. I remember my mother gasping, but saying nothing in my defense. I remember my father telling me to calm down when I started screaming. But what I remember most is Chloe's face. Completely blank, without regret, without shame. Nothing at all. It was as if she had just casually said, "I want dessert." "Amelia, we need to talk about this as a family." The mother finally spoke, her voice trembling. "What is there to talk about?" I heard my own voice, shrill and terrifying. "She seduced my fiancé and got pregnant with his child. What is there to talk about?" "These things just happen," the father said, as if discussing the weather. "These things do happen. My sister ruined my life, and they say it is just something that happens." That night, Jason called me 73 times. I didn't answer a single one. I sat on the floor of my apartment, staring at the ivory wedding dress, feeling my soul slowly dying. But the worst was yet to come. Within 2 weeks, my parents had completely sided with Chloe. Suddenly, everything turned into supporting her through this difficult time. She became the victim, young, scared, and vulnerable. And I, the one who was truly betrayed, became the troublemaker. Then, they did something I still can't forgive. "Amelia, darling," her mother said cautiously on the phone. "Chloe wants to use the wedding services you booked after all. You've already paid the deposit. It would be such a waste to cancel. You won't mind, will you?" I mind so much I can't breathe. But they did it anyway. 2 months later, at the garden estate where I was supposed to have my wedding, Chloe walked down the aisle in a white wedding dress, pregnant with my ex-fiancé's child. Same venue, same florist, same menu. Only 3 relatives declined to attend: his father's aunt, cousin, and grandmother. Everyone else went, smiling and congratulating the happy couple, posting photos on social media, as if it were the most normal and beautiful thing in the world. That day, I was alone in my apartment, drinking red wine and looking at the wedding dress in my closet. That wedding dress I should have worn. That part of my life that I should have had. My mother kept calling, trying to get me to let go of the pasts and be happy for them. Let go, is she joking? They stole everything from me and she expects me to accept it with a smile? "You are so selfish," my mother said. Words I'll never forget. How could you take Chloe's pregnancy as a personal attack on you? At that moment, I finally understood the truth. My family didn't just condone it, they approved of it. They chose her. They chose the one who betrayed me instead of me, the one who was betrayed. So I made my choice. I cut off contact. I blocked their phone number and social media accounts. I moved to the other side of the city. For the first time in my life, I was completely alone. And somehow it felt much better than being with that kind of family. But this isn't a story about how I kept broken. This is a story about what happened next. Believe me, it will get much worse before it gets better. The next 3 years were brutal. I won't gloss over it. For the first 6 months, I saw a therapist twice a week, trying to understand how my entire family had betrayed me. The therapist kept asking me if I wanted to work toward forgiveness. I kept telling her that I wanted to try not to think about them every day. I threw myself into my work and got promoted twice. I started traveling for work. I made new friends. Friends who didn't know my past and wouldn't pry when I said, "I am not close to my family." I rebuilt my life brick by brick. It was tiring, but necessary. About 2 years later, I woke up one day and realized that I hadn't thought about Chloe or Jason for a whole week. It felt like finally being able to breathe after holding your breath underwater for too long. That is when I met him. His name is Irving, and we met at a conference in Seattle. He started his own consulting firm 5 years ago and has made it quite successful. We happened to sit together at a social dinner, and he made me laugh. A real laugh. Not the polite social smile, but a laugh from the bottom of my heart. That night we talked for 4 hours about work, travel, and everything except family. When he asked for my phone number, I almost refused. I wasn't ready, but something in his eyes changed my mind. We were in a long-distance relationship for 8 months, and then he invited me to move in with him. I was terrified. The last time I completely trusted someone, it almost ruined me. But Irving was very patient. He never rushed me. He let me control the pace. When I finally told him about my family, we were sitting on his balcony at 2 a.m. I had avoided the topic for months, but he deserved to know. Why I backed down every time he mentioned his sister, and why I changed the subject every time family came up. I thought he would be shocked or uncomfortable. Instead, he simply held my hand and said, "That explains a lot about your strength. You rebuilt yourself from scratch, which is remarkable." He proposed 10 months after we met, without pressure or expectation, just on an ordinary Tuesday evening when we were making dinner together. And he simply asked me that question. Of course, I said yes. We planned everything ourselves, no family opinions, no drama, no traditions we didn't want. We got married in Italy, just the 2 of us and 12 close friends. The wedding was small and perfect, entirely ours. I sent invitations to my parents, not because I wanted them to come, but because I wanted them to see that I had moved on, that I had built something wonderful, and that none of it had involved them. They didn't come. 2 days before the wedding, Chloe's mother called to say that they couldn't abandon her during this difficult time. Clearly, her marriage was in trouble and she needed their support. I hung up the phone before she could finish speaking. Irving asked me if I was okay. I told him I was better than okay, I was free. But life always tests you when you think everything is stable. 6 months after the wedding, we started trying for a baby. I was 31, Irving was 35, and we were both ready. Month after month passed, and nothing happened. A year later, we went to see the experts. That is when we discovered I had fertility issues. It wasn't catastrophic. It didn't mean we couldn't have children, but it wouldn't be easy. The doctor recommended treatment, monitoring, and intervention. This will be expensive, exhausting, and emotionally draining. During that appointment, Irving gripped my hand and told the doctor we would do whatever it took. We began the treatment. Injections, appointments, examinations. Hope followed by disappointment, and disappointment followed by hope again. This is cruel. Cruel in a way completely different from anything I've experienced before. It is not about betrayal. It is about desperately wanting something but having no control over whether you can get it. I broke down after another negative test result during a particularly difficult month. Maybe this is punishment for cutting ties with my family, I said to Owen. Maybe I don't deserve to be a mother. Maybe I am too broken. He looked at me with unprecedented intensity. Don't let them take this away from us. Don't give them that power. This isn't about them. It is about us. He is right. This is our life, our journey, and we'll fight for it together. What I didn't know at the time was that my old life was about to be intruded upon in the worst possible way. The phone rang one Sunday afternoon, 4 years after I had lost contact with them. He is the father. I almost didn't answer, but something made me press the answer button. His voice sounded older and more weary. He asked if we could talk. To really talk about repairing family relationships. It has been long enough, he said. Life is too short to have this kind of separation. Your mother misses you terribly. I wanted to hang up, but Owen was watching me. I could tell from his face that he thought I should at least listen to what they had to say. Not for their sake, but for my own. So I wouldn't keep thinking, what if? And so I agreed to have dinner at a neutral location. Both families were present, my parents, Chloe and her husband. Yes, they really are married, and Owen and me. The restaurant was expensive and quiet, the kind of place where people don't make a scene. I was so naive to think that would protect us. Chloe appeared with her 2 children, a 4-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl. They both looked exactly like Jason. Every time I look at them, it feels like I've been stabbed. The boy has his eyes, the girl has his smile. I feel unwell. Chloe looked different, tired, with deep dark circles under her eyes, and had gained weight. Her husband, I still can't help but call him my ex-fiancé with an urge to smash things, seemed very uncomfortable from the moment he sat down. He wouldn't look me in the eye, staring intently at the plate as if it could save him. My parents initially tried to keep things relaxed, asking about Irving's business and complimenting my hair. The small conversation felt like walking on broken glass. Chloe remained silent, watching over her children, who were remarkably well behaved. Then dessert arrived, and everything fell apart. The mother asked in that cautious tone, the kind people use when they're pretending something isn't really a secret. Are you and Owen planning to have a baby soon? Before I could answer, Chloe laughed. She really laughed. I wish you good luck, she said, as she cut the cake for her son. I heard you are having some trouble. It must be very painful to want something but not be able to have it. Silence fell over the dining table. Irving found my hand under the table and gripped it so tightly it almost hurt. What did you say? I managed to say. She looked up, feigning innocence. What? I just meant it must be difficult, especially at your age. I mean, I got pregnant the first time just by thinking about it. 3 times in a row. 3 times. You are pregnant again. The mother gasped with delight. Chloe smiled, placing her hand on her still, flat stomach, 12 weeks. We were planning to announce it later, but ... it is another boy. We're so blessed. I feel like I am going to throw up. Irving's jaw was so clenched I thought his teeth were going to crack. That is great news, my father said, giving me a look that clearly wanted me to say something supportive. I can't speak. I really can't say a single word. But Chloe wasn't finished. She turned to Owen. You must be very patient. I mean, if my husband couldn't give me children, I don't know what I would do. But I think when you really love someone, you stick with it, right? It was the way she looked at him when she said that. That slight smile, that hint, that told me what she was doing. Irving stood up so quickly that the chair made a screeching sound on the floor. Let's go. Oh, don't be like that, Chloe said. I was just chatting. Don't be so sensitive. My mother reached out and grabbed my arm. Please, don't ruin the evening. Your sister didn't mean it that way. You know what kind of person she is? Sometimes she speaks without thinking. That excuse. The same excuse. They made excuses for her their whole lives. Something deep inside me broke down. I didn't sit back down. I stood there, looking at Chloe. The first time in years I'd truly looked at her and saw what kind of person she really was. They are not my family. It is not someone who made a mistake. Instead, it was someone who deliberately ruined my life but felt nothing about it. You want to talk about sensitive topics? I said calmly, eerily calmly. Let's talk. Let's talk about how you seduced my fiancé 6 months before my wedding. Let's talk about how you got pregnant and then announced it like you won some prize. Let's talk about how you stole my wedding, my venue, my plans, everything. And not a single person in this family said a word to stop you. Amelia, her father warned. Number I am fed up with, staying silent. I am fed up with being the rational one. I am fed up with pretending everything is fine. I turned to my parents. You chose her. You chose her the moment she announced her pregnancy. You didn't ask if I was okay. You didn't defend me. You just decided I should get through it and move on, because that was easier than putting her in that responsibility. With tears in her eyes, the mother said, "We just want to keep the family together. By sacrificing me, by letting her use my wedding plans, by expecting me to swallow all of this, and then smile." I laughed, but it sounded grating. "You didn't keep the family together. You kicked me out and then pretended it was the same." Chloe rolled her eyes. "Good heavens, you are still dwelling on that. It has been so many years, just let it go." "Let it go," I repeated. "You ruined my life. You betrayed me in the worst way possible, and you've never apologized, not even once." "Because I am not sorry," she said simply. Her husband tried to grab her arm, but she shook him off. "Do you want to know the truth? He was never truly yours. If he were, he wouldn't have come to me. Men don't cheat unless they don't get what they need at home." Irving moved to my side, his presence solid and reassuring. "We're leaving." But Chloe wasn't finished. She looked Irving up and down in a way that sent chills down my spine. "You know, if you are tired of waiting for a defective product, you know where to find me. I am obviously very prolific." The dining table erupted in chaos. The father stood up, the mother gasped, and Owen's face darkened with anger. But before anyone else could speak, I laughed. I really laughed. The kind of laugh that comes from the depths of an abyss. "You think that is flirting?" I said to Chloe. "You think that makes you look attractive? You are pathetic. You stole my fiancé because you couldn't stand me having what you didn't. And now you are sitting here, pregnant with your third child. Your marriage obviously falling apart, trying to seduce my husband, because you still can't stand me being happy." Her husband stared at her in horror. "Very well, let him see who he really married." "You want to talk about defective products?" I continued. "Look in the mirror. You are 27, trapped with a man who barely looks at you, raising a child from a family built on betrayal. Your own son will grow up to know that his father cheated on him with his aunt to be with his mother. That will be his origin story. Good luck explaining that." "That is enough," the father said, but his voice was weak. "You're right. Enough is enough." I turned to him. "I've had enough. I came here tonight because you asked me to, because deep down there was a tiny bit of hope that you would finally take responsibility for what you've allowed. But nothing has changed. She's still the manipulator, and you're still making excuses for her." I looked at her husband, the man I had once thought I would spend my life with. He stared at the plate, blushed, and remained silent. "And you didn't even have the courage to speak. You sat there all night, like a scolded child, not defending your wife, not defending yourself, doing nothing. You are exactly the kind of coward I've always suspected." He opened his mouth, perhaps to apologize, or perhaps to defend himself. I raised my hand. "Save it. Whatever you want to say, I don't care. You are irrelevant. You've been irrelevant since the moment I left that apartment 4 years ago. You are just a bad memory. You don't deserve to be anything more." I picked up my bag. Owen was already standing there, ready to leave with me. "This family is dead to me," I said, looking at each of them in turn. "Not because of the betrayal. I could have forgiven that one in the end. But because none of you believed I deserved better. None of you stood up for me. Even now, even tonight, you are still choosing her." The mother cried, "Please don't do this. I didn't do anything. You did this years ago. I just finally accepted it." We walked out of the restaurant, and I didn't look back. Irving drove us home in silence. When we arrived at the apartment, I broke down, not from sadness, but from the fact that I was free. Finally, I am completely free, but I learned that freedom comes at a price. The cost was far more complex than I had imagined. 2 weeks after that disastrous dinner, I was still processing everything. Irving has always told me that I did the right thing, that standing up for myself is healthy and cutting ties permanently is reasonable. But when I can't fall asleep at night, I replay the scenes from the entire night and feel a complex mixture of emotions, a sense of justice and defense, and an unquenchable anger. I need to talk, but I've exhausted Irving's patience on the topic, and my therapist won't be able to see me for another week. So I did what thousands of people do when they need to vent. I went online. I found a family alienation support group, anonymous, with only usernames and stories. Everyone in it had some kind of family trauma, narcissistic parents, abusive siblings, or toxic relatives who did unforgivable things. Reading dozens of posts, I felt a strange sense of comfort. I wasn't alone, so I posted it. I wrote down the whole story, the betrayal, the wedding, the 4 years of silence, that dinner, everything. I was very careful. I didn't use real names, didn't mention any specific cities, and the details were so vague that it could be anyone's story. This was just a venting, a way to release it from my system. The support came immediately and overwhelmingly. Hundreds of comments. People telling me I did the right thing, saying my family was toxic, saying I deserved better. It felt good, really good. Like a recognition I desperately needed but hadn't even realized I needed. For the next few days, I compulsively checked that post. Every new comment fed something inside me that I didn't want to delve into. 3 weeks later, Aunt Margaret called me, the one who refused to attend Chloe's wedding. "Amelia," she said cautiously, "I need to ask you something. Did you post anything online about your sister?" My blood has turned cold. "What?" "A story is circulating throughout town about a woman who got pregnant with her sister's fiancé's child and stole her wedding. Everyone's talking about it. The details are so specific, it must be about your family." I feel like throwing up. I posted it in an anonymous support group. I didn't use any name. How could someone must have recognized enough details to start piecing it together. You know how people are? They piece it together, and suddenly it is spreading everywhere on social media and in group chats. It has already reached Chloe's ears. "Very good," I said, the words coming out without even thinking. Her aunt remained silent for a long time. "Amelia, I understand your anger. Heaven knows you have every right, but there will be consequences." She was right. The consequences came quickly. Chloe lost her job first. She had been working at a local medical clinic, and apparently the story spread like wildfire through her workplace. Her boss called her in and said things like protecting her professional reputation and not being a good fit for their family-oriented clinic. She was fired within a week. Then the social consequences began to appear. People started recognizing her at the grocery store, at her children's school, and throughout town. She went from being anonymous to infamous. Her husband's family stopped speaking to them. Some of the couple's friends suddenly became very busy when they tried to get together. I heard all this from my aunt, who heard it from the family gossip chain. And as I listened, I felt a dark satisfaction that terrified me as I listened to every single detail. "They're talking about moving," my aunt told me on a phone call. "Chloe can't hold her head up anywhere. People whisper whenever she shows up. Someone actually went up to her in the pharmacy and told her she should be ashamed of herself. I should feel guilty. I should feel remorseful. But I didn't. It is not true." "She should be ashamed," I said. "She deserves it. Amelia." She ruined my life and didn't feel anything. Now people know what kind of person she is. It wasn't my fault. It is just the truth catching up. But even as I say this, something feels off. Something's not right. I want her to face the consequences, yes, but watching it happen, hearing that she lost everything, watching her life crumble like mine, it doesn't feel as good as I imagined. One evening, Irving found me scrolling through social media, looking for mentions of that story, searching for Chloe's name, and seeing what people were saying about her. "What are you doing?" he asked gently. "Just taking a look." "You've been watching for hours." He sat down next to me. "This isn't healthy. She is losing everything," I said, still staring at the screen. "Her job, her friends, her reputation, everything." "How does that make you feel?" I didn't answer because the truth is complicated. I feel satisfied. I feel proven right. But I also feel something darker. Something that makes me uncomfortable with myself. I felt a strange sense of power. "I didn't name names," I finally said. "I didn't do those things to her. It was just the consequence of her own actions." Irving took the phone from my hand. "Maybe, but you are spending every spare moment observing how the consequences unfold. That is not moving forward. That is obsession." He is right. I know he is right, but I can't stop. Chloe is trying to sue me. That is just how hopeless things are. She hired a lawyer and filed a defamation lawsuit, claiming that I posted lies about her online, damaged her reputation, and caused her to lose her job. The lawyer's letter arrived at my address. Somehow she found where I lived, which was creepy in itself. Irving and I consulted a lawyer. He reviewed all the materials, read my anonymous post, and basically laughed. "She has no case," he said. "First, you never named anyone. Second, the truth is the absolute defense of defamation. Third, she would have to prove that your post directly caused her specific losses, which is virtually impossible because it was anonymous and the spread was organic." The lawsuit did not even pass the initial filing stage. The judge dismissed the case, insufficient evidence, no direct connection. The case was dismissed. When my aunt told me, I felt a surge of triumphant joy. She had tried to sue me legally, but failed. This was yet another defeat for her, and yet another victory for me. But in that same week, something else happened, something that should have been purely joyful. I am pregnant. After 2 years of treatment, failed attempts, hormones, and disappointment, finally 2 lines appeared on the pregnancy test. I stared at it in the bathroom for 10 minutes, crying, unable to believe it was real. When I showed it to Irving, he picked me up and spun me around, and we cried together. This is everything we want, everything we fought for. We're expecting a baby. I must be the happiest person in the world. Instead, I found myself compulsively checking social media, looking for updates about Chloe. This became a form of coercion. Every morning, every night, sometimes multiple times a day, I would search her name, look at her profile, and scroll through the comments and gossip pages. I need to know what happened to her, whether things got worse, and whether she has had enough. Irving certainly noticed. 3 weeks after we found out I was pregnant, he came home from get off work and found me in front of my laptop, engrossed in a discussion thread about my sister. Here we go again. He closed his laptop, not aggressively but firmly. "We need to talk." I know that tone. "What should we talk about?" "You are pregnant with our child, yet you spend more time obsessing over your sister than celebrating this miracle we've had." "I am not obsessed." "Yes, you do. You check her social media several times a day. You are in those gossip groups, reading every comment, tracking every consequence. You are consumed by watching her life crumble." "She deserved it," I said defensively. "Maybe, perhaps, but that is not the point." He sat down next to me. "The point is, she still controls your life. You cut her off 4 years ago, but she is more present now than ever, because you can't stop watching her destroy herself. That is not fair. Isn't that unfair?" He took my hand. "Amelia, you are pregnant. We're having a baby. This should be the happiest time of our lives. But every time I look at you, you are monitoring her on your phone or laptop. She is stealing this joy, and you are letting her steal it." I wanted to argue, but tears streamed down my face because I knew he was right. "I just need to know the consequences she is facing," I whispered. "After everything she has done, I need to know that she is suffering just as much as I have. And then, what will happen next? When she has had enough of suffering, will that fix what she took from you? Will that give you those 4 years back? Will that make you happy?" "I can't answer that." He pulled me into his arms. "You are carrying our son, Amelia. I am so afraid that when he is born, you'll be so busy watching over her that you'll miss being there for him." Those words hit me like ice water. The thought of holding my baby while secretly checking my phone to see if my sister is still suffering makes me sick. "I don't know how to stop," I admit. "I know, but you have to try, because this obsession, it is not justice. It is not healing. It is just another form of letting her control you." That night I lay awake, pondering what he had said. I think about Chloe losing her job, being gossiped about, and struggling. I think about the satisfaction I felt when I heard about it. That dark, ugly sense of satisfaction is eroding the person I want to become. It took me 4 years to build a new life. I found love, got married, and finally got pregnant. I have everything I ever wanted. But I couldn't enjoy any of them because I was too busy making sure she was miserable. Irving is right. She is still in control of me, just in a different way. But knowing something and changing it are 2 completely different things. 3 years have passed. 3 years of sleepless nights, the first words spoken, the little shoes, and everything that comes with becoming a mother. My son was born healthy, 8 pounds, black hair, Owen's eyes. He was perfect. I am better now. Not completely better, though. I still find myself wondering about Chloe from time to time, and I still have moments when I want to see her fall apart. But Irving's words echoed in my mind. I am focused on my baby, focused on my marriage, focused on building this new chapter in my life. I thought I had moved on. I really thought so. Then I saw him. I was at the grocery store, and my son was sitting in the shopping cart. He is 3 years old now, and he has been chattering away about everything he sees. As I turned into a shelving aisle, I froze. My nephew, the 4-year-old boy I met at the disastrous dinner. He is bigger now, obviously about 7, and he is with my mother. My mother looks 10 years older. I should leave. I should turn around and go in another direction. But I stood there, partially obscured by a display shelf, watching them. My mother was buying everything from mainstream brands, the cheapest options. Her shopping cart was filled with basic necessities, nothing extra. My nephew looks very thin, not dangerously thin, but like he is not eating enough. His clothes are old but clean. They didn't see me. I made sure of that. But as I watched my mother counting change at the cashier, as my nephew asked for candy, she had to say no and watch them leave with their meager groceries. That night, after my son fell asleep, I shouldn't have done what I did next, but I couldn't help myself. I called my aunt. "How bad is it?" I asked bluntly. She knew immediately what I meant. She sighed. "It is terrible. Chloe's husband left her about 6 months ago. I think he finally had enough. He takes care of the kids on weekends, but only pays the bare minimum in child support. She and her 3 children live with her parents. She can't find work anywhere, and her reputation in this town is terrible. How does she make a living?" My aunt remained silent for a long time. "You wouldn't want to know. Tell me." "She has been selling content online, photos. That kind of content. It is not going well. I feel nauseous, not satisfied, but disgusted. That kind of content. I won't go into details, Amelia, but she is desperate. Your parents are supporting 4 people with their retirement income. It is not enough. She is doing what she thinks she has to do." I hung up the phone and felt empty. This is not satisfaction. It is watching someone spiral down into something dark and desperate, and knowing that, in some way, I contributed to pushing her there. 2 weeks later, my aunt called again. Her voice was trembling. "It was leaked," she said. "Someone in town found her content and recognized her. It spread everywhere. The photos were on gossip websites, shared in local groups. Everyone saw it. I thought I would feel victorious. This is the ultimate humiliation, exactly what a part of me wanted. On the contrary, I felt nothing, just emptiness. Her children." The aunt continued, her voice choked with emotion, "were bullied at school. Somehow, the other kids found the photos and showed them to the other children, making them laugh at them. At that moment, it was no longer abstract. I saw him again a few days later. The same grocery store, the same day, at the same time. But this time my nephew was crying. Truly crying, the kind of desperate sobs that come from deep hurt. My mother tried to calm him down in the parking lot, but he couldn't control himself. A group of children his age pointed and laughed from across the parking lot. "That is him. His mom is the one in those photos." I stood by the car, my own son oblivious in his seat, watching my nephew break down, watching him scream at those children. I watched as my mother tried to protect him. I watched as other parents pulled their children away while casting disgusted glances at my mother. My son said something from the car seat, but I can't figure it out. I am fixated on that scene, a 7-year-old boy whose life is being destroyed because of his mother's choices, because of despair, because of a series of consequences that somehow trace back to me. The children eventually left. My mother put my nephew in the car. I could still hear him crying from across the parking lot. I got in the car, and it drove home automatically. When Irving came home that night, I told him what I had seen. "That child did nothing wrong," I said, my voice trembling. He was 7. His classmates saw explicit photos of his mother. He will carry that burden for the rest of his life. "That is not your fault," Owen said cautiously. "Didn't I? I posted that message. I started all of this. She made her own choices, all of them. But her son didn't. He didn't choose any of these." I looked at our sleeping child. If something like this happened to our son, I would want to die. I would want to burn the whole world down to protect him. Irving pulled me closer. "You are not responsible for her choices or their consequences. Perhaps they are not legally responsible. Perhaps it is not a direct issue. But that night, I couldn't shake the image of that little boy crying in the parking lot because I had helped release something. About a week later, the nightmare began after I saw my nephew crying in the parking lot. In my dream, I was the villain, not Chloe, but me. I will watch myself from outside my body, smiling as I ruin someone's life. Sometimes it is my sister. Sometimes it is her child. Sometimes it is a stranger, and their faces become the faces of the people I love. I would wake up panting, covered in sweat, unable to shake the feeling that I was more honest in my dreams than I was when I was awake. Irving would hold me when I woke up like this, but he no longer asked what the nightmares were about. I think he knows. I think we both know. I am dealing with something I don't want to face. Then one afternoon, my son asked me a question that shattered something within me. We colored together at the kitchen table. He was 3.5, at the age where he was always looking at and asking about everything. He remained unusually quiet, focused on coloring within the lines of his drawing. "Mom," he said without looking up. "What is Aunt?" My hand froze. "What?" "Auntie, Grandma mentioned you when she was talking to Grandpa at her house last week." "What is that?" "My mother-in-law. She must have been discussing something with Owen's father, and my son overheard it." "That is your mother's or father's sister," I said cautiously. "Do I have an aunt?" I should tell him the truth. I should say yes. He has an aunt he has never met. It is complicated, and maybe one day I'll explain, but I didn't. "No," I said, the words coming out before I even thought. "You don't have an aunt." He nodded, fully accepting this, and went back to coloring. But as I sat there, I felt like the worst person in the world. I just lied to my child. I lied about some basic family facts. What is worst is how easily lies can come out. That night, after my son fell asleep, I broke down. Irving found me crying in the bathroom. "I told him I didn't have a sister," I said. He asked about my aunt, and I lied to him. I looked into my son's face and lied. Irving remained silent for a long time. Then he said something I'll never forget. "You are becoming the kind of person you hate." I stared at him in shock. "I've been watching you for 3 years," he continued, his voice gentle but firm. "Watching you monitor her destruction, revel in her suffering, and convince yourself it is all justified because of what she did to you. Now, you are lying to our son to maintain this narrative that she didn't exist. You are not healing, Amelia. You are becoming bitter. You are becoming as toxic as her. That is not fair. Isn't it unfair? She hurt you? Yes, terribly. But you spent years hurting her back, even indirectly. Now that pain is starting to affect our son. When will it stop? When will the revenge end and the healing begin?" I wanted to argue, but everything he said was true, and we all knew it. "I don't know how to let go," I whispered. "I know, but you have to try. Because if you don't, you'll pass this hatred on to our son. He'll grow up learning that betrayal within the family is unforgivable. Revenge is justified, and lying is acceptable if it protects the narrative you want to maintain." Before I could respond, my phone rang. It was late, too late, and not a normal call. I almost didn't answer, but something made me press the answer button. "He is the father." "Amelia," he said, his voice breaking, "is your mother. She has been diagnosed with cancer, pancreatic cancer, stage 4. The world has tilted." "What?" "They gave her less than a year, maybe 6 months. She wants me to call you. She wants to see you." I can't speak. I can't think straight. "Cancer. Terminal illness. 6 months." "I know you are angry," the father continued. "I know we have nothing to do with each other anymore. But she is your mother. She is dying. Please." I hung up the phone without answering. I stood there holding my phone, trying to process what I had just heard. Irving looked at me. "What happened?" "My mother has cancer. Terminal. Less than a year left." He pulled me into his arms. I didn't cry. I just stood there, numb, thinking about all the silent years, all the angry years, all the bridges I burned and convinced myself were okay. "What should I do?" I asked. "I don't know," Owen said honestly, "but whatever you decide, you have to live with it. If you don't see her and she dies, you can't take that decision back. If you do see her, you have to be prepared for what that might mean." I thought about my son's problems, my lies, my nephew crying in the parking lot, and years of obsession and revenge disguised as justice. I've become someone I don't recognize, I said softly. Then let's change, Irving said simply. It is not too late, but it must start now. That night I lay awake, thinking about my mother dying, Chloe struggling, the consequences and choices, and the difference between justice and cruelty. Think about whether it is possible to heal from the betrayal and not become the kind of person you hate. I have no answer. But for the first time in many years, I am asking the right questions. 3 days later, his father called again. I've been avoiding thinking about the first phone call, suppressing it, and pretending I have more time to decide what to do. We need to talk, he said. Your mother has a request. I met him at a coffee shop, neutral territory. He looked older than I remembered, thinner, grayer, and overwhelmed by everything that had happened to our family. She is about 6 months along, he said bluntly. The doctors are quite clear. It is aggressive, and no treatment will make a difference at this stage. I stirred my coffee but didn't drink it. I just needed to do something with my hands. She doesn't want you to forgive Chloe, he continued. She knows that is not something she can ask for. But she has one request. When the time comes, when she dies, she wants both of you to be at her funeral. She doesn't want to be buried while her daughters are still at war. That is all. That is not fair, I said immediately. She demanded that I stand next to the person who ruined my life. Pretend we're family, pretend to be grieving, while the person who betrayed me is doing the same thing. She is not asking for a performance. She is not asking you to reconcile. She is just asking for 2 hours of your life in the same room. For her, that is all. I gave a wry smile. That is all, Dad. You don't know what you are asking for. I know, he said calmly. I know what she did. I know we handled things wrong. I know we chose her, and we should have supported you both differently. I know all of that. But this isn't about rewriting history. It is about giving your mother peace before she dies. And what about my peace? When will I get that? He had no answer to this. That night, Irving and I had our longest conversation in months. I told him about my father's request, about the funeral, about the impossible situation I was in. If you don't go, you'll regret it, Owen said. Not because of them, but because of you. You'll spend the rest of your life wondering if you made the right choice. If I go, if I stand beside her and have to watch her cry, pretending to be a grieving daughter, then you will know you did everything possible. You will know you were with your mother. In her final days, they gave her what she asked for. I hate this, I said. I hate that she put this on me, that I have to choose between my own pain and her peace. I know, but it is a choice. Only you can make it. The next day, I did what I should have done for years. I've made an appointment with a therapist, not the one I saw after my initial betrayal, but a new one, someone who can help me deal with this new hell. Her office was serene, neutral tones, soft lighting, and a strategically placed tissue box. I told her everything, the betrayal, the wedding, the silent years, the dinner, the leaked post, Chloe's downfall, my nephew's crying, the nightmares, the lies to my son, and now this impossible request. She listened without judgment, occasionally taking notes. What do you want? She asked after I finished speaking. I have no idea. That is not true. You may not want to admit it, but deep down, you know what you want. I remained silent for a long time. I want it to stop hurting. I want to be able to remember my family without feeling this anger. I want my son to grow up without inheriting this darkness. I want to get rid of her. Get rid of them all. Do you think seeing your mother before she dies would lead to her giving you that? I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe it will only hurt more. There is no right answer here, the therapist said gently. But consider what would trouble you more, going and risking pain, or not going and living with that problem forever. That night, I sat down and wrote a letter to Chloe. I don't know why. I don't plan to send it out, but I need to get my voice heard. I wrote about the betrayal, about how it destroyed me, about years of anger and obsession, about watching her life crumble and feeling satisfied, and then feeling disgusted by that satisfaction. Seeing her son cry made her realize that revenge can't heal anything. It only creates more pain. I wrote that I don't forgive her, and probably never will. But I am tired. Tired of hating her, tired of watching her suffer, tired of letting her control my entire being. I sealed the letter and put it in the desk drawer. I don't know if I'll send it out, but writing it feels like something. 3 days later, I called my father. "I will see her," I said. "Mom, I will go to the hospital to see her, but I am doing this for myself, not for you, not for her, not for some illusion of family reunion. I am doing this because I need to know that I've done everything possible before it is too late. Thank you," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "I promise nothing except that visit. I promise I'll attend the funeral. I promise I'll never speak to you or Chloe again. I only promise this visit. That is all we ask for. But we all know that is not true. This visit will lead to more requests, more pressure, and more complex emotions. But I will deal with it when it comes. Now, I am taking one step. Just one step, not for them, for myself." The hospital smelled like disinfectant and despair. I'd been to the hospital before for my son's birth for a routine appointment. But this felt different, more somber. It was as if the building itself knew why people were there and mourned with them. I was supposed to see my father in the hall at 2 p.m. He would then take me to my mother's room. Controlled visitation, limited time, no drama. That was the plan. But plans never go the way you expect. I arrived early. Anxiety made me unable to wait at home any longer. Irving offered to come with me, but I need to do this alone. I sat in the waiting area, scrolling aimlessly through my phone, trying not to think about what I would say to my mother. Then I heard a child's voice. "Grandpa, I am scared." I looked up. My nephew, the 7-year-old boy I saw crying in the parking lot. He was sitting across from his father in the waiting room, wearing clothes that looked too big for him, and his face was pale and haggard. Chloe was next to him. We saw each other at the same time. Her eyes widened, and mine probably did too. Neither of us had anticipated this encounter. My father looked between us, clearly alarmed by the unexpected encounter. For a long moment, no one moved, no one spoke. We simply stared at each other across the hospital waiting room. Years of pain, anger, and betrayal hanging in the air between us. "Chloe looks terrible." Not in a trivial, satisfying way, in a truly worrying way. She had lost a lot of weight. Her hair was tied messily at the back of her head, and she had deep dark circles under her eyes, so deep they looked like bruises. She looked defeated and broken. Her other 2 children are not here. They are probably with their father for the weekend. Only she and her eldest son, the child born from my betrayal, sat there, terrified of his dying grandmother. Then he looked at me. He really looked at me. I saw the cognition in his eyes, the way children process new information by examining faces. "Dad," he said softly, tugging at his father's sleeve. "Who was that lady?" The father's face turned pale. "That is yours, your aunt," he said. "Auntie," the boy suddenly said, his eyes widening. "Really, you look like Mom. Grandpa sometimes talks about having 2 daughters. The waiting room fell silent. Tears streamed down Chloe's face. Her father looked like he wanted to disappear. I stood there, frozen, staring at the child who had just realized he had an aunt he had never heard of. "Yes," I finally said, my voice barely audible. "I am your aunt. Why haven't I seen you before?" This is such a simple question, such a naive question. There is no good answer. "It is complicated," I managed to say. "Did you and your mother have a fight?" Chloe let out a sound that was somewhere between a sob and a gasp. She suddenly stood up. I need some fresh air." She almost ran into the corridor, her shoulders shaking. The father started following her, but then stopped, torn between his daughter and his grandson. The boy looked confused and scared. "Did I say something wrong?" "No," I said quickly. "You are not wrong at all. I should have left, I should have walked away. But I found myself sitting next to him. Your grandmother is very ill," I said gently. "It is terrible for everyone. Your mother is worried about it, not because of you." "Will she die?" The child's frankness. "Yes," I said honestly, "probably soon." He dealt with this quietly, then he asked, "Are you sad too?" "Yes, I am very sad. Even if you've argued with your mom?" "Even so." He nodded, as if it made sense in his child's logic. "Sometimes my brother and I fight, but I still love him." It's simplicity, ne feve. He didn't realize the seriousness of what was happening between his mother and me. To him, It was just a long-running argument between sisters. "That is wise," I said. Chloe returned then. She had wiped her face, but her eyes were red and swollen. She saw me sitting with her son, stopped, and seemed unsure whether she should intervene. "Mom," the boy said, "this is my aunt. Her name is—" He looked at me, realizing he didn't know. "Emilia," I said. "Emilia," he repeated, "is a good name." Chloe and I looked at each other. For the first time in many years, we truly looked at each other. Without anger, without hatred, just with the weight of everything we've done to each other, everything we've lost, everything we've destroyed. She seemed to want to say something. I probably am too, but neither of us said anything. The father cleared his throat. "Your mother wants you, both of you. Of course, this has always been the plan, hasn't it? To bring us all here, to force us into the same space." Chloe picked up her bag. "Come on," she said to her son. Then, to me, "You go first, I'll wait." "No," I heard myself say, "we'll go together." This is not forgiveness. This is not reconciliation. It is just exhaustion. Exhaustion from the fight, from the hatred, from bearing this weight. We walked side by side down the hospital corridor, without speaking or looking at each other. But we were together. Behind us, the nephew held his father's hand and asked his grandmother if she would like to know if he had met his aunt today. I have no answer to this. I have no answers to anything anymore. My mother passed away 2 months later. They said it was peaceful, although I am not sure what peaceful means when you die of cancer. During those 2 months, I visited her 3 more times. We talked about small things, my son, the weather, and memories of my childhood. We never talked about betrayal. We never talked about Chloe. We simply exist in the same space, and perhaps that is enough. The funeral was exactly what you expected. Church service, the father's eulogy that brought everyone to tears. Hymns, flowers. I offered my condolences to people I hadn't seen in years, carefully avoiding mentioning the family drama they were sure to know about. Chloe and her 3 children sat on the other side of the church. We made eye contact when I arrived. She nodded. I nodded. That was it. Irving stayed close to me throughout the ceremony, always with one hand on my back or holding my hand. My son is too young to understand what is going on, but he was quiet and well-behaved, and he sensed the weight of the occasion. At the cemetery, we stood on either side of the graves as they lowered the coffins. My father stood between us, both physically and symbolically, trying to bridge what seemed like an impossible gap. People walked in a line, tossed flowers, and said their final farewells. In the end, everyone left. The father took his nephew and the other children back to the car. They needed to use the restroom. They needed snacks, and they needed a break from their grief. Irving took my son to see other gravestones, giving me some space. Suddenly, only Chloe and I were left, standing on either side of our mother's grave. The silence continues. I was thinking of walking away. This didn't have to happen. We can keep our distance, even in death. But then she spoke. I ruined everything. Her voice was barely audible. "I know, I've known for years. I don't expect your forgiveness. I don't deserve it." I looked at her through that new grave, truly looking at her. She was 30, but looked 40. Life had been cruel to her in an obvious way. "I became you," I said, startling myself. "When I tried to destroy you. I became the kind of person I hated." She looked up, puzzled. "That post," I continued, "the one that was leaked. I did it. I knew what would happen. Maybe not the specific details, but I knew it would hurt you. I wanted it to hurt you. I deserve it. Maybe, but this is the key point. I knew when the photos were leaked. I knew before most people. I could have warned you. Could have tried to help you delete them before they spread too far. But I didn't. I chose to let it happen and let you suffer." She is crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. "I watched you lose everything," I said. "Your job, your reputation, your marriage." I felt satisfied. I told myself it was justice, but it wasn't. It was revenge. The worst part was... My voice choked. The worst part was that I didn't care who else got hurt. Your children, your son. I saw him crying in the parking lot because other kids saw those pictures of you. Even then, a part of me thought you deserved it. "I deserve it," she whispered. "But you are right. My son shouldn't. My children shouldn't suffer because of my mistakes. We stand there, weeping, on either side of our mother's grave. I can't forgive you, I said. Not yet, maybe never. What you did, it changed me. It broke something inside me, and I don't know if it can be fixed. I know, but I can't go on like this. This hatred, this obsession with destroying you, it is poisoning me. It is affecting my marriage, my son, my entire life. I've become a person I don't recognize, a cruel person. She wiped her face. I am sorry. I've been sorry for years, but I didn't know how to say it. I didn't think I had the right to say it. I ruined your life because I was jealous, selfish, and stupid. I've been paying the price for it every single day since. Your child shouldn't have to pay the price for this. No, they shouldn't, but they are paying. My eldest son knows this story now. The kids at school make sure of it. He knows his father was engaged to you. He knows I am the reason you don't talk. He is 7, carrying that shame. I think of my own son, the lies I told him, and the painful legacy we are passing on. I took the letter out of my bag, the one I wrote months ago. I've carried it with me ever since, unsure what to do with it. This is for you, I said, walking around the grave and handing it to her. I don't know if it will help. It is not forgiveness, not reconciliation. It is just an acknowledgement of what happened, what we did to each other, and where we are now. She took it with trembling hands, as if it were fragile. Can I read it? Not now. Later, when you are alone. She nodded, holding the letter as if it were a fragile item. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for talking to me. I know how difficult that is. This is difficult. It is the hardest thing I've done in years, but it is necessary. Will I ever see you again? I don't know how to answer. I don't know. I need time. I need to figure out who I am when I am not consumed by anger towards you. That is fair. She paused. Your son is very handsome. I saw him at the ceremony. He looks like you. Thank you, your children. They seem to be doing well, resilient. They are surviving. That is all I can do right now. We stood there awkwardly, unsure how to end the conversation or what would happen next. I have to go, I finally said. Owen's waiting. My son's going to get anxious. Of course, Amelia. She paused, swallowing hard. Thank you for your letter. Thank you for today. Thank you. Thank you for not hating me as you should. I do hate you, I said honestly, but I am trying not to let it define me. I walked away then, went back to Owen and my son, and went back to my life. As I left, I heard her crying again, alone by our mother's grave, clutching a letter containing years of pain condensed into a few pages. This is not healing. This is not the end. But this is the first step toward something, to no longer be enemies, even if we will never be sisters again.